So I'm outside my side garden with this beautiful native grass called little bluestem. It's Schizachyrium scoparium, which is an absolutely phenomenal plant for a sunny border. And you can see how gorgeously blue this foliage is. And this perennial grass was actually the Perennial Plant Association's Plant of the Year in 2022. And it won that for a good reason, because it's just an amazingly easy to take care of, yet adds so much to the garden plant. This is hardy down to zone 3. It doesn't care if it's in the driest of the dry soils or sandy soil. It will tolerate heavier soils and just about any soil pH that you have. It's it's not fussy at all about its growing conditions, except if it's too fertile. If this was planted in ground in soil that was very, very fertile, it would get floppy. But for the most part, it stays very, very upright. And the great thing about this as an ornamental grass is not only does it stay upright, but it's also on the shorter side. So that makes it a lot easier to work into a lot of garden installations because it's not taking up that much space and it never needs to be staked. This plant now has probably about maybe a dozen to 15 different cultivars. So you can get ones like Carousel that only grow to be about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 after the blooms open tall, all the way to like 4.5 to 5 feet. The straight species, and that's what the one in front of me, only gets to be about 3 feet once it's in bloom, which it's just starting to do right now. If you leave it over the winter time after frost, these beautiful blue leaves are going to turn coppery, russet, almost red color. So it looks beautiful with our fall foliage, and songbirds will eat the seeds. This also serves as a host plant for skipper butterflies, and it is a bunch grass, which means that queen bumblebees can use it to overwinter down in the crown of the plant. So it's got a lot of uses for wildlife, but it has even better, a lot of uses in the garden. I like to think of this as a plant that plays very, very well with others. So even though here it's just planted in front of this rock and there's not any other plants around it, I've used this plant in many places in the garden because it looks so fantastic with our late blooming perennials like asters and salvias and mums and hardy hibiscus and agastache and even dahlias, because all of those come in colors that pick up the colors in the foliage. There's a lot of purpley blues, a lot of reddish and pink hue inside the grass blades. And when you put any of those paired with it, it will pick up on that color and look beautiful. My favorite pairing I ever did was with an agastache. And they both, a lot of those plants, including this agastache, grow to be about the same height. So the flowers are right in with the foliage of the grass. And I'll insert a picture of that because agastache isn't really hardy here, so I don't have that plant growing anymore. But this is a phenomenal plant to add to your perennial border. I'm going to walk around and show you some others that are planted in my garden, including the one and only cultivated variety I grow. Most of the ones I use are the straight species, just because it will seed and you can, but it's very easy to take out, but it will seed and you can get extra plants. And it's not an expensive plant anyway, and you can buy it in plug version and fill out a big area for a very small amount of money. So anyway, I'm going to walk around and show you some other places in the garden where I grow this, but I hope that you want to incorporate some into your garden, not just for wildlife, but just because it looks beautiful in the garden with so many of our fall blooming perennials. All right, here we're in an area that is just wicked as far as rabbits go in my garden. They have a lot of places they can hide here, and it's also very dry over here. So here, the little bluestem is been paired growing next to 2 different border sedums that are actually in a container, and that's so that they won't get eaten by rabbits. And you can see the echoes of the color of the sedum in the grass. And as this season goes on, and those sedum are going to turn, they'll kind of bronze, coppery, russety color red, the grass is going to do the same thing. So they look great together right now, and they're also going to look great together as the season goes on. So this plant is solving 2 problems for me right now. One, that the ground here is pretty dry, and second, that the rabbits make this place really, really difficult to garden in. And I will tell you that this plant, this little blue stem, also gets an A+ rating for deer resistance as well as rabbit resistance. So this is one of the cultivated varieties, and it's called Prairie Wind Brushstroke, I think. And it has a lot more color variation to the blades, and you can see a lot of that wine color. And that's going to be the color this goes in fall. Instead of like russet and red, it's going to be more of that wine color. Now there's 3 in a row here, and I'm only showing you this one. But they were planted here to block my corgi dogs from getting underneath my deck. So they're new plants. They just went in this year. They're going to get probably another at least foot and a half taller than they are this year. And we'll know their true fall color pretty soon, and also how tall they're going to get. But so far, so good. They've survived dog trampling on a daily basis. And I think the color of them is just stunning. So I'm going to go over a little bit, and I'll show you what they were meant to pair with. There's the second one. And if I come up from it, you see a hardy hibiscus, which that flower bud hasn't opened yet, and that grayish foliage, sage, and lavender. And all together, this looks so beautiful. The color echoes are just amazing. So I can't wait for these little blue stems to get bigger next year, because they really are going to provide such a great backdrop to the perennials that are in this bed.